evening and welcome to tonight's regional news. Chairman of the 15-member Caribbean Community CARICOM, Dr. Keith Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, says the regional body is, I quote, deeply saddened and concerned at the unprecedented scenes that unfolded at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. during the certification of the votes of the presidential elections by the U.S. Congress, end of quote. In a statement on Thursday, Rowley said that the storming of the U.S. Congress was, I quote, a gross affront to democracy and the rule of law in a country which has been viewed as a leading light of representative governance the world over, end of quote. He added that, I quote, CARICOM looks forward to the restoration of order and the continuation of the process of transfer of power in a peaceful manner, end of quote. Meanwhile, the Jamaican government also expressed concern following the incident. And now for a rather sad story. Floods have killed at least 4 people in the Bolivian city of Sucre, police said. Following a heavy hailstorm which lasted about half an hour, some of the city's steep streets became fast-flowing rivers. Interior Minister Eduardo del Castillo said 3 children and 3 adults were still missing and 7 had been injured. The worst affected areas was around the city's largest farmers market, where drains were blocked by rubbish, making the flooding worse. Residents said city officials should have done more to maintain the city's storm drains during the rainy season. President Luis Arce gave his condolences to the relatives of those killed. And internationally, the U.S. Capitol is once again secured, but 4 people are dead, including 1 woman who was shot after supporters of President Donald Trump breached one of the most iconic American buildings, engulfing the nation's capital in chaos after Trump urged his supporters to fight against the ceremonial counting of the electoral votes that would confirm President-elect Joe Biden's win. Shortly after 1 p.m. Wednesday, hundreds of pro-Trump supporters pushed through barriers set up along the perimeter of the Capitol, where they tussled with officers in full riot gear, some calling the officers, I quote, traitors, end of quote, for doing their jobs. About 90 minutes later, police said demonstrators got into the building and the doors to the House and Senate were being locked. An armed standoff took place at the House front door at about 3 p.m. In one stunning line, Trump told the mob to, I quote, go home, end of quote, but added, I quote, we love you. You are very special, end of quote. The stunning display of insurrection was the first time the U.S. Capitol had been overrun since the British attacked and burned the building in August of 1814 during the War of 1812. The shocking scene was met with less police force than many of the Black Lives Matter protests that rolled across the country in the wake of George Floyd's killing at the hands of Minneapolis police officers last year. That was all for tonight's regional news. Thank you for joining. Back to you, Wendell.